Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we are going to learn how can we create Exchange Server 2016 Mailbox database. So Exchange Server 2016 Mailbox database is a major component of Exchange Server 2016. Exchange Mailbox database is .edb file. So .edb file is a file that contains data all the information that make up a mailbox. So whenever you create a mailbox, do you know where it just goes? Where it just saves all those information? So where is all your emails? It is always stored in your Exchange server. So when you just send and receive an email, what it does is that it creates a copy of that email in your Outlook, and then all those emails are stored in your Exchange server. So where all those emails are stored, it is stored in Exchange server 2000, Exchange server mailbox database. So there is a database in Exchange server where all your data, or your all your emails, all everything that you have got in your Outlook, or like calendar info, like your meetings, your calendar info, your contacts, everything is stored in your Exchange mailbox database. And then it is the EDB database file where all mailboxes are stored. So one other thing that I want to mention is that Exchange Server uses Extensible Storage Engine, which is ESE, as its database engine. So whenever email comes into Exchange Server, the email first comes into the memory RAM. So once it comes to the RAM in your Exchange server, then it comes to transaction logs, and then the email is stored into Exchange uh, database. So transaction logs files are actually particular database records and all transactions that is performed on the database. So whenever an email is sent, an email is received, whatever transaction is done, it is just creating the log of those transactions. So that is your transaction log. So I'll be showing you the location for the EDB and transaction logs in a while. So one other thing that I want to do is I want to create a mailbox database. So in order to create a mailbox database, you can simply come to the servers, and then you see an option in here, database. So these are two default database that is already created when we installed our two Exchange servers. So I will create a new database, and then we will be moving some user mailboxes. So I want to name this mailbox database as, for example, finance, or let's name it for a site. So, for example, Sacramento office. So one thing that I want to show you is that always make sure that you follow a naming convention. If it's for a computer, if it's for an Active Directory, for anything that you do, follow a naming convention. So a good naming convention for databases is MBDB, which is mailbox database dash Sacramento um, DB Sacramento Exchange database 01, or database 01 is not needed, so I will just simply Sacramento Exchange 01, um, and then browse. In which server do you want to save this information? I want to save it to New York, or I want to save it to Sacramento Exchange server. So this mailbox database will be the database that is going to be stored in your Sacramento office Exchange server. So if you are trying to move user accounts from your Sacramento office, make sure that you create your database in Sacramento. So make sure whenever you create the database, mailbox database, you select the correct server. For example, if I select this and then this mailbox database relates to Sacramento office, what's going to happen is that whenever you create user accounts, because it is going to be a different site, like maybe far away from each other, you will be facing connectivity issues. So always make sure that you select the correct server whenever creating your Exchange mailbox databases. So I'll select this, and then this is the database path. So it is on C program files, and then Microsoft Exchange Server. Same thing with the logs, transaction logs. So this is the database file path where all your emails, all your data is going to be stored, your EDB file. And this is like anything that you are going to do, like sending and receiving emails, it is going to create a log for that. And that log information is going to be stored in this path. So always make sure you separate them. So what most people do is they use storage area network, SAN, or any other device that has like more storage. So this is like 62 GB only, but if you're working on a production environment, you will need like terabytes of data. So what they will do is they will connect a storage area network with the server where you will have more space, and then you can simply select one of those drives and then go ahead. So the best practice is that if you have more space, you create two drives. You create two drives, one for the database, one for the transaction logs. So in case if you lose one of them, the other is still safe. So that's one of the best practices whenever you are creating a mailbox database. Always make sure that you are following the good naming convention, and then you have two separate drives for the logs and then for the databases. So mount this database means that once I create it, make sure you mount it and it is active. So I will simply create it, and once you click on save, it will be just created and ready. So one other thing that we will do after this is we will be just simply going to the database for going to the paths for transaction logs and exchange databases and see what we got in there. All right, so please restart Microsoft Exchange Information Store Service on SAC EJO 01 after adding a new mailbox database. So this is a new thing in Exchange Server 2016. Like it requires you to restart the service whenever you just create a mailbox database. So you simply go to Admin Tools, you go to Services, and then from in services, you click, just press M, and then you will see information store service, which is somewhere in here. So information store, simply restart. That's what you need to do whenever you create a new mailbox database in Exchange Server 2016. So after this is done, I will just show you how can you simply move a user mailbox from one database to another database. So once this is created now, I will simply go ahead and show you the EDB file location and the transaction logs location. So when you click on program files, you click on Microsoft and then Exchange Server V5, V15, version 15, and then you can simply click on Mailbox, and once you click on Mailbox, then you should be able to see the others. So you see in here that I got MBDB SAC EJO Sacramento Exchange 01, and then in here if you see that I got the EDB file. Right now it is only 247 MB, but when I start moving mailboxes or users into this uh, mailbox database, this is going to start increasing, and then um, if you simply see in here, this is one of the transaction logs information that we have. So we created both of them on the same location, but as I said, the best practice is to separate your transaction logs from your EDB file. So this is the one that was already created, and let me just show you one of the differences that we have. So this is the mailbox database, which is 240 MB, and then that's all we have. So these are two exchange databases that we have created for our Sacramento Exchange server. So that's how you can create your Exchange server database. And then in the next lecture, I will show you how can we move one user mailbox from one database to another database. So I hope this was informative for you, and I'll see you next lecture.